I read a story about quite a famous troubled young man in Australia who was more remembered for the terrible incident that he was involved in. But I started reading a story about his relationship with his father and kind of a more eccentric older woman who was his friend. And I found that a lot more interesting than the terrible incident that he was more famous for.
They dance down the street. And she is so beautiful. She pirouettes this way and that way. But then she falls. But he catches her. And she spins ever so gracefully away.
I think traditionally there's often a thought where people are either sane or they're mad. And I think more and more there's a realization that there's a very vast spectrum of mental illness.
Well, that was another big theme and something we really wanted to explore and use that character more as a heightened expression of what we see in most men in the world, especially in our home in Australia. An emotional immaturity, not knowing the impact that their physical presence and their physical actions cause on other people, not particularly having an empathy about it. And by using someone who is visually a lot more immature, we were hoping that other people might see themselves inside that.
We have worked with our DOP, Giovanni LaRusso. Yeah, he's a very, comes at it from a very creative perspective. These two colours that I was looking to work with against a palette, this sort of vibrant orange, this cyan or a turquoise, and I guess the representation of what they represented, and then the background palette, which was easy to find because that's Tasmania, this deep, rich greens and browns and sort of muted greys and things like that. So, it was fun.
And that's what we really wanted to capture, the atmosphere, apart from shooting this beautiful nature, which there is. We were kind of inspired by Wim Wenders, and Jim Jarmusch as cinematographer, Robbie Mueller, who on Dead Man's set said that he would look out over these great vistas and then Jim Jarmusch would tell him to point the camera the other way. More to capture the atmosphere apart from just like the landscape.
Get out of the water before you freeze.
It was important for us to start a conversation with our audience and not say, this is what you should feel, this is how you should feel. It was more just like, here's a situation, here's some characters. We know where we're coming up from in the writing of the script and how we judge the performances and the visual imagery that we use. But it was for the audience to kind of take those ideas and then bring their own experience and their own thoughts into that film as well, and then to be able to start discussing things on that level.